Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to discuss the announcement that Call of Duty's DMZ mode has been put on ice, and what this could mean for Infinity Ward and their future as a studio. At this point, it's no secret that Infinity Ward's time in the driver's seat of COD during Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 has gone over about as poorly as it possibly could have. With the release of Modern Warfare 3 and the upcoming re-release of Warzone on December 6th, or is it a re-release? I've lost track of how many different Warzones have come and gone at this point. Sledgehammer, Raven, and the other teams working on COD will have reversed almost every single change IW made to the franchise over the last year, signaling a clear turn away from the realism-focused direction the studio pushed so hard. As if having every change they implemented in MW2 walked back wasn't bad enough, it was also revealed in the Season 1 prep article released on November 30th that DMZ, the extraction shooter mode IW introduced alongside MW2, the first of its kind in Call of Duty, was also being canned, at least temporarily. In the blog post, Call of Duty thanked the community for supporting DMZ, but confirmed that, while the mode will continue to be available, it will not share progression across MW3 or the new Warzone experience, including each battle pass, starting with Season 1. They finished the announcement by stating it felt like an appropriate time to take what they had learned from DMZ thus far and apply it towards evolving these dynamic open-world experiences into the future, and expressed their intent to share more updates on that process when ready. With complete radio silence on DMZ since marketing for MW3 began, the entire COD community already assumed the mode was as good as dead, and this statement was the final nail on the coffin for any holdouts hoping for a different outcome. With IW's DMZ experiment now officially over, and their influence over the multiplayer side of COD washed away as well, the biggest question in my mind is, what's next for the studio after finding themselves in such a precarious predicament? Regardless of what they end up working on next, I think one thing is abundantly clear. Infinity Ward's involvement with core Call of Duty development has run its course, at least for the time being. Despite what some people shouted from the rooftops during MW2 to justify the changes IW made, Call of Duty has always been a fast-paced, chaotic arena shooter, and always will be. Infinity Ward tried their best to shift the franchise toward a more realism-focused style of gameplay, but it's become blatantly obvious that this isn't the direction COD was meant to go in. Don't just take my word for it, though. Call of Duty themselves announced that during the Thanksgiving weekend last month, MW3 saw more hours played per player than any other turkey weekend since MW 2019. Concrete evidence that playtime was up across the board following that pivot back towards a more traditional COD formula Sledgehammer oversaw with this latest entry. Each decision IW made in MW2, charge up perks, no red dots on the minimap, no dead silence as a perk, slower animations and movement, every last one has been struck down in MW3, an undeniable shift away from those realistic systems. Camping, casual, sentinel gameplay, whatever you want to call it, has always existed in Call of Duty, dating back to the original Modern Warfare in 2007. That style of play, which, for the record, might not be my cup of tea, but if it floats your boat, more power to you, will never go away. And COD doesn't need a higher focus on realism to encourage more people to play that way, despite the justifications IW tried to use in their comms to the community last year. It's pretty clear that IW has largely lost touch with what the community wants from Call of Duty. Or, they simply don't care and just want to pursue what they think the game should be, either of which is a recipe for disaster. In light of all those issues, there's never been a better time for IW to take a step back from Call of Duty and let studios who are more in tune with the players handle things. Sledgehammer, despite some stumbles along the way, has always been willing to engage with the community, most of the time, and implement player feedback on their games, within reason. And many players see Treyarch as the crown jewel of all the COD studios. Along with Raven Software overseeing Warzone, why not let these teams work on the things they clearly have passion for and align with what the player base wants to see? Fast-paced multiplayer, rewarding ranked play, excellent zombies modes, and a return to the Warzone formula everyone fell in love with back in 2019. Frankly, I don't know if COD can survive another cycle like what went down with MW2, and I can't begin to imagine the internal friction these kinds of switch-ups must cause between studios. The idea of something like Modern Warfare 2 happening again sounds like a total disaster. But if Infinity Ward's tenure as a core Call of Duty developer is winding down, where does a studio with their long history, experienced development team, and large pool of resources go from here? What I would love to see more than anything is for Infinity Ward to focus on something completely new. And taking a step back from COD, or its multiplayer side at least, would give them the perfect opportunity to do just that. It's crystal clear that IW has a different vision than the other studios working on Call of Duty, something perfectly suited for an entirely new IP, or a completely separate branch of the COD franchise. Either way, it would be great for the team at IW to try something brand spanking new, and there's never been a better time for them to branch out and take a swing at something different. With the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard complete, all studios under the AB umbrella should hopefully have more leeway to pursue new projects than ever before. Perhaps we'll finally see a departure from the yearly Call of Duty release cycle, and Phil Spencer has already hinted at reviving dormant IPs owned by Activision. How about we let Infinity Ward take a few years off, ruminate on the lessons they learned from DMZ, and come back ready to release something fresh and new? You can't tell me it wouldn't be cool to see Activision come out with a brand new IP for the first time in who knows how long. And judging by the reception to DMZ's obituary, there certainly seems to be an audience out there who'd jump at the opportunity to play a more polished and fleshed out version of the beta. Bungie is gearing up for their own foray into extraction shooters with the release of Marathon. Why not have IW throw their hat in the ring and offer another different spin on the genre? Extraction shooters have remained a niche part of the gaming space for years, with a few successful products like Hunt Showdown and EFT, but many others attempting to carve out a piece of the pie and ultimately failing to find any footing. If Infinity Ward was given time and resources to develop a complete DMZ-like product, who's to say it couldn't be the broad appeal breakthrough the genre has been waiting on? And if the higher-ups don't want to risk fronting the project as an entirely new IP, they could always release it alongside the next Modern Warfare as its own separate mode, adding yet another dish to the already expansive Call of Duty buffet. Imagine a world where you have multiplayer developed by Sledgehammer, ranked play and zombies from Treyarch, Warzone managed by Raven, and a complete DMZ mode from Infinity Ward, with all of the studios collaborating on campaign content. Such an incredibly diverse offering would appeal to existing COD fans while simultaneously branching out into the extraction shooter milsim space like IW tried to do with MW2. A win-win for everyone involved. I've put a little over 25 hours into MW3's multiplayer since release, and the experience Sledgehammer delivered is leaps and bounds ahead of what we got last year with MW2, and the closest we've been to that classic arena shooter feel since Black Ops Cold War. IW tried injecting realism into COD, but it just isn't a good fit for the game's core formula, and that realization has been made abundantly clear by backpedaling away from every design decision they implemented last year. If Infinity Ward is going to continue working on Call of Duty, it should be in a capacity that's walled off from the rest of the game. DMZ offered a more casual take on an often highly unforgiving extraction shooter experience, which earned itself a following of dedicated players who are disappointed to see its departure, and that seems to be worth revisiting later down the line. What I'd really love to see, though, is for the studio to branch out and try something new. Really, truly new. Despite all the criticisms of MW2, Infinity Ward has over 2 decades of experience in creating video games, and that should be put to use in a way that will empower leadership to pursue projects they're passionate about, while allowing developers to work on that vision without compromising Call of Duty's DNA. With the added financial security provided by Microsoft's acquisition, let Infinity Ward take some time off to recharge and regroup, gather their thoughts and learnings from the last year, then come back to the drawing board with a fresh perspective on DMZ, and the time and resources to create an evolution that will earn itself a permanent spot in the Activision Games roster as a standalone mode within Call of Duty or a brand new IP, either of which can stand its ground as a new contender in the extraction shooter genre. No matter how things go down, I hope Infinity Ward can get their act together and come back swinging with a product that surprises fans and players, so long as they stay away from Call of Duty's multiplayer, because I don't think I can handle another roller coaster like the one we've been riding for the last year. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more gaming content, and let me know your thoughts on the death of DMZ and what you'd like to see Infinity Ward work on next in the comments below. You're a real one and I appreciate you. Catch you later, homies.